Have you ever seen parents sacrifice everything for their children, only to be abandoned when those children finally became successful? This is not just a story. For many families, it is a painful reality. Stay with me until the end, because what happened to this old couple will leave you speechless. In a quiet village surrounded by thick forest and dusty roads lived an elderly couple named Papa Daniel and Mama Grace. They were poor. Not the kind of poor that meant they had little savings. They were the kind of poor that wondered where the next meal would come from. Their house was made of old mud bricks with a leaking roof that dripped every rainy season. Their clothes had been patched so many times that it was difficult to tell their original color. Yet despite everything they lacked, they possessed something priceless. Hope. And that hope was placed in their two children. Their first son, Michael. And their younger daughter, Sarah. Every morning before sunrise, Papa Daniel carried his hoe on his shoulder and walked several kilometers to other people's farms. He wasn't working on his own land. He worked as a laborer on other people's farms. Some days he cleared bushes. Some days he planted cassava. Other days he harvested yams under the scorching sun. For a whole day's work, he was paid just enough to buy a few cups of gari. Meanwhile, Mama Grace fetched firewood from the forest. She sold vegetables in the local market. Sometimes she washed clothes for wealthy families in nearby communities. At night, both of them returned home exhausted. Their hands were covered with blisters. Their backs ached terribly. But every evening they smiled whenever they saw Michael and Sarah reading their school books. Papa Daniel would always say, "My children will never suffer the way we suffered." Mama Grace would nod with tears in her eyes. They will become somebody. Every night before sleeping, they gathered together for family prayers. Papa Daniel would kneel on the hard floor and pray with all his heart. "Father in heaven, don't let our labor be in vain. Open doors that no man can shut. Let our children succeed beyond our imagination. Even if we never become rich, let our children enjoy the blessings we never had." Mama Grace would cry while praying. Sometimes her tears dropped onto the floor. She prayed for protection. She prayed against accidents. She prayed for wisdom. She prayed that God would connect them with destiny helpers. Unknown to the children, those midnight prayers became the foundation upon which their future would stand. Years passed. Michael finished secondary school with excellent grades. Sarah also performed brilliantly. The entire village celebrated them. But another problem appeared. University admission had come. There was no money. None. Papa Daniel sat quietly outside his house staring into the sky. Mama Grace silently wiped tears from her face. Giving up crossed their minds. But only for a moment. The following morning they stood up and went back to work. They worked harder than ever before. They accepted every difficult job available. If someone needed land cleared, they were there. If someone needed harvesters, they were there. If someone needed heavy loads carried, they were there. Sometimes they skipped meals so they could save transport money. Little by little, they paid the acceptance fees, then the school fees, then hostel fees. Eventually, Michael and Sarah left for university. The entire village escorted them to the main road. Mama Grace hugged them tightly. "Study hard. Never forget where you came from." The children promised. "We'll never forget." Those words made their parents smile. But no one knew the future. University life was expensive. Almost every week came another phone call. "Mommy, I need money for handouts." "Daddy, school just introduced another payment. My feeding money has finished. I need money for practicals. I need money for projects. I need money for textbooks." Every call sounded urgent. Every request seemed important. Papa Daniel never complained. Even when there was nothing left, he borrowed money. He sold his only goat. Later he sold their small piece of farmland. Mama Grace quietly sold her wedding wrapper. She even stopped buying medicine for herself whenever she became sick. Whenever Michael or Sarah called asking for money, they always had the same answer. My child, don't worry. We'll send it. They never allowed their children to know how much they suffered. Sometimes after sending money, the old couple survived on only gari and water for several days. Yet every evening, their prayers continued. Lord, bless our children. Let them become successful. Let employers favor them. Let kings call them blessed. Years rolled by. The day of graduation finally arrived. Michael graduated. Sarah graduated too. Papa Daniel and Mama Grace couldn't afford transportation to attend the ceremonies. Instead, they celebrated in their small village. Mama Grace cooked rice for the first time in many months. Neighbors gathered. Everyone rejoiced. Our children are graduates. Papa Daniel repeated proudly to everyone he met. Soon after graduation came the one-year national service. Again the parents prayed every night. Father, wherever they are posted, protect them. Give them favor. Connect them to good people. By the time they completed their service year, miracles began to happen. Michael secured a high-paying job in a large company. Sarah also received an excellent government appointment. The entire village celebrated. People congratulated Papa Daniel. They congratulated Mama Grace. Your suffering has finally ended. Your children will surely take care of you now. The old couple smiled with hope. For the first time in decades, they allowed themselves to dream. Maybe they could repair their leaking roof. Maybe Papa Daniel would finally stop working on people's farms. Maybe Mama Grace could rest her tired body. Maybe, just maybe, life was about to become easier. But little did they know, their greatest pain was only beginning. After settling into city life, something slowly changed. The phone calls became fewer. The messages became shorter. The children who once called every week now remembered their parents only occasionally. Whenever Papa Daniel called, Michael always sounded busy. Dad, I'm in a meeting. I'll call you back. The call never came. Sarah always had another excuse. I'm driving. I'm with friends. I'm at work. We'll talk later. Weeks became months. Months became almost a year. The money that used to disappear so quickly during university days never returned. Not even once. Mama Grace defended them. They are still settling down. They'll remember us. Papa Daniel remained silent. Deep inside, he still believed. One rainy evening, while returning from another man's farm, Papa Daniel collapsed by the roadside. Villagers rushed him to a small hospital. The doctor examined him carefully. His blood pressure was dangerously high. His body was weak from years of hard labor. He needed proper treatment immediately. The hospital asked the family to contact his children. The villagers called Michael. No answer. They called Sarah. No answer. They sent messages. Still nothing. Days passed. Papa Daniel remained on the hospital bed. Each time footsteps approached the ward, he lifted his head hoping to see his son. Or his daughter. Instead, only neighbors came. Mama Grace sat beside his bed every single day, holding his frail hands, praying softly, still believing, still hoping, completely unaware that something shocking was happening in the city at that very same moment. Something that would change this family's story forever. Watch out for part 2.